Welcome to the One Bloody Take Movie Podcast, where we go back in time several decades to browse the aisles of your local video store. I'm Paul.
And I'm Russ.
And tonight we find out what it would be like if you let a 6-year-old watch Star Wars and then have them describe it while on acid. We are renting the 1978 movie StarCrash, so get your popcorn and snow caps ready while we give you our bloody take. I want to apologize up front. This was my idea, and I should not have done this. I was just looking for a movie that aligned with May the 4th, Star Wars Day, if you will. And the information on the internet is not to be trusted, but the information on the internet told me this was a good horror movie with Star Wars underpinnings. And I have so many questions about this, these phrases and how they're being applied to this movie. But let's start at the beginning. It's directed by... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Real quick. I just want to say there's no need to apologize. I am going to tear this thing down. But I had fun. So I'm big on visuals.
Sure.
And
well, you got those.
Yes. And the effort that goes into creating special effects. So I was very entertained visually. It's just everything that hit my ears was a problem.
And I want to very specifically talk about that, but, we'll get there.
Yes.
Directed by Luigi Cozzi, who directed Hercules, The Adventures of Hercules, and Sinbad and the Seven Seas. So he's got kind of a space pirate background, if you will. Like
yes.
He's not foreign to this sort of material.
Yes, and I read that he was heavily influenced by this type of movie.
I can certainly see where that all lines up. If there was better movies out there. The movie is produced by Roger Corman, and that is so obvious when you watch the movie. Very obvious. I love a good Roger Corman movie. He's like, I guess he's the precursor to Troma and the precursor maybe at that point to Asylum in just he knows he's making B movies. He's not trying to win an Oscar. He's just trying to have fun and possibly cash in on the trend of the day. We get some familiar people popping up in this movie from other shows that we've done. Oliver from Mausoleum is in the movie. Carol from Slaughter High. And pretty much 90% of the people in The Maniac. But
I didn't understand that. It wasn't even done by the same person.
The important things here are we get Christopher Plummer and David Hasselhoff.
Yes.
And that's what makes this movie live. There's a VHS cover that I'm looking at, and it looks like somebody had some Star Wars shrinky dinks and just threw them in a pan and cooked it, and that was it. This is our cover. Yeah. We got it. And this would in no way in the world entice me to buy this movie, especially if it's in the horror section.
Well, I agree with you only from the standpoint of how I would react to a movie today. But if I see this today, I feel like they're trying to trick me into watching the movie.
Okay.
14-year-old me going to the video store, seeing this, I'm picking it up.
I know what you're saying. Like, I'm seeing all the sci-fi, and the sci-fi would hit a nerve for me and all that, but not this.
Yeah. And I understand because, like I said, I understand they're tricking me.
Yeah.
Today. Yes, but when I was younger, I would not have understand that. I would not have understood it and would have fallen for it.
I gotcha. I don't think it would have caught my eye for long enough for me to even fall for it. Because then on the back cover, the pictures of they show you a still from a couple different scenes in the movie, and they all just look like Star Wars stunt double stand-ins. And I would see that and just assume I should probably just be watching Star Wars, and I'd be right. But this brings me to a question before we get into this movie in total, because this movie is presented as a horror movie. And obviously that definition, that the fact that this is a horror movie is decided by the creators. Like there's not a specific rule for, oh, this must be a horror movie, this must be a comedy, whatever it is. It's how the producer puts it out. It's a science fiction horror movie.
Right.
So my question, and and it's very relevant to the show that we do. What's a horror movie? What makes a horror movie a horror movie?
I would think that there's going to be an antagonist that is either supernatural or super strength, or just someone who's really good at killing people. So there has to be a force, be it, not human or human, that is hunting people, usually either targeting a certain group of people for a certain reason or attacking a certain area.
Okay. That's it. That's the whole. That's
what I think most horror movies fall into.
So, so then is actual Star Wars a horror movie?
Well, it was funny because when I was thinking about body bag totals,
right?
Everyone on Alderaan dies.
Yeah, they blow up a planet.
So you have more. I don't want to call it death scenes, but more deaths in one Star Wars movie than you probably have in all of the major horror movie franchises combined, just with one laser shot.
One whole planet, right? And,
yes.
and that laser shot is basically fired by your supernatural antagonist, right?
Yeah.
He's a Jedi, which is outside of being a human being. Like, he's got superpowers for as far as the Star Wars universe is concerned. So that's that. Then, like I said, so is Star Wars a horror movie?
I don't know, because maybe I think in Star Wars there's more of a good versus evil battle, as opposed to a horror movie where it's just evil versus who happens to be there.
Like evil versus neutral.
Yes, that person doesn't have to be good or bad.
Okay.
They're just in the way.
All right.
So I think with this Star Wars movie, it's really more of a, like you would say, it's a war movie.
Yeah.
I know that's in the name.
No, but I can see that too.
Sides trying to wipe each other out.
Right. All right. Got it. So the plot in this movie is two smugglers are enlisted with the task of saving the universe from the evil Count Darth Arn and stop his doom machine. Just in case you weren't.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did that throughout. It's Varth Arn.
Varth Arn, right.
Yes. Yeah. It might as well be.
But that's why they did this. Yeah. Just in case you weren't clear that this is people who watch Star Wars and then went and made a movie.
Is Star Wars taken? Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right, Star. Give me another word here.
Remember when we went to the theater last week and watched Star Wars? Oh yeah, sure. But we should make a movie similar to that.
But make it worse.
In every possible way.
Yeah.
In every possible way. So, quick thoughts on this movie. You want to know why everyone is dressed in leather, and the answer is it's a Roger Corman movie.
Yeah.
That's simple enough to answer. Why does the Emperor's ship look like a hand? There's only so much you're going to do in this budget with these special effects. I was impressed that they had like the Imperial spaceship at the beginning, but they didn't have the word scroll, which kind of bummed me out a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, yes, so this L guy.
Yeah.
And his speech patterns. His non-human. Well, he's not human. Oh, I don't know. Is he human?
No, he's a robot.
Right, he's a robot.
When he gets beat, he's just robots inside.
So he talks. Talking about the accent, the Southern accent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Mater from Cars got another role.
This would have been his first role, but yeah.
Yeah, but he had to change it up slightly.
Yeah, I don't know why that bothered me the whole movie, because but it didn't bother you when C-3PO was British, right?
No, because it seemed to go with his personality.
Okay.
Like the way he functioned, everything about him, it's believable that he would talk like that.
Okay.
L gets stuck between robotic movements and human movements throughout the movie and is not consistent in anything he does. His legs work like humans, but every so often he does move his hands like a robot would. And then he just constantly talks about being nervous, They land and he's like, my seatbelt's stuck. You're a robot. Figure it out. Like, you've got to have a tool there that can help you get out of it. It's just, it was a lot of weird banter.
There was a ton of weird banter, and it didn't make a lot of sense to me. That that Southern accent was jarring at first, and then it was jarring for the rest of it, because no one else in the movie has any sort of Southern accent. So in this universe, they've created a voice for a robot that sounds like a Southerner with no context for it at all. It seems like a lot of effort to create a voice that's not necessary.
And it's not even consistent throughout the movie. He leans more into it at times than others.
Right.
And just structurally, I have a problem with L. It's just like Bane and Batman and Robin. If you're going to put a bunch of cables and tubes into something, they're typically important. So just pull them out.
Yes.
And that's what they do to Bane. They just pull out the tubes.
Right.
I mean, like, it's low-hanging fruit to defeat, your enemy. Bane's a human, or human-like at least, or was a human. So L is a robot and always has been a robot. So instead of making all of these wires and tubes on the outside that are exposed to danger, put them on the inside where they can't be hit or can't be torn. So like just the way he was designed didn't make any sense for a battle robot. Now, if his job is to sweep your floors at home, it doesn't matter what's hanging out, but this robot is going on missions and helping the police and then helping smugglers save the world. So I think he needs to be a little stronger or harder to take down.
I like that he had read the Miranda rights in the beginning of the movie. I liked that it was a space chase, but he was letting them know they had the right to remain silent if they so chose.
Yes,
that was good of him.
That's
to follow.
That's
the rules.
Just not here. That's throughout the universe.
Right.
Yeah.
So the other character I'm having difficulty with is Acton, and
yes.
And overall, I wrote this note down. This entire movie sounds like the voiceover work was all recorded at Speed Racer Studios. Like, everything sounds like this very da 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 da, and I don't know why that was like that either. And it was really led by Acton. All of Acton's speech was just like, "Aha, we're going to go and get them," and slower, but
yes.
you get the idea.
No, in fact, there is a quote I wrote. He actually does say "aha,"
right?
Like, so it's weird, and just his character, the amount of things that are hidden from us about him to just hide from us. There's no real reason. It doesn't matter whether they reveal things that he can or can't do later in the movie. At that point in time, it doesn't matter if he could always have done it. Like, it was just lazy writing. And in fact, at one point, I was just kind of like, I think they're just writing the dialogue and then going, okay, well, how are they going to get out of this one? Death Squad. And then we see a Death Squad for 5 seconds that we never heard of before or after. Like, that's kind of what they did with this movie. We're like, well, how are we going to get out of it? Well, maybe Acton can just see into the past. Okay, that works. Like, they just wrote it once going forward and never went back to clean anything up.
I pretty much refuse to believe that there was any dialogue written for this movie.
Yeah.
I think it's the only way to get through it is to just assume that it was a whole
it just says say things.
Yeah, it was just an ad-lib practice test that they filmed. All right. So we start out and we're learning about these people. We're scanning planets. We're looking for enemies. We're looking for weapons. If we watched the trailers and whatnot, we're aware that there's a planet that hides a weapon inside of it, which is what the Death Star is, right?
Yeah, yeah, it could be the Death Star.
It seemed like a familiar concept to me.
Yes. Maybe we can go to an ice world.
Yeah. Where everything is frozen and cold, and we'll bring Hoff with us, and it'll be perfect. And yeah, I mean, they make no apologies for what they're doing here at all.
No.
As they're scanning a planet and they're getting ready to, I guess, approach, they get attacked by these red spheres that sends everybody into some sort of hellish pain. I didn't quite understand what these spheres, like what they were and what they were designed to accomplish, but I assume that they accomplished what they were supposed to. And then we see escape pods go away before the ship blows up. Who escaped?
Yes. Yep. That's just it. Who escaped and where are they going? And this is such an easily fixable situation by just an interior shot of the pod showing people talking. I would have accepted that. I don't need names. I just need to know that people are in there. Unless it's just droids, because then you don't have to shoot it down.
Right.
And by just killing 2 droids, you could have, reigned supreme in the universe, but you chose not to, and the whole thing came crumbling down. So that it's important to shoot these escape pods. Who's in it?
We didn't need to know. But also all of the people seem to be in like catastrophic pain. So not only who's in it, but how did they get there?
How did they get there?
So that's how our movie starts. A lot of questions, not a lot of answers.
These red spheres just look like a lava lamp has attacked.
Yeah, they're just terrible overlays over top of the film. There's not a ton of the special effects. I mean, the special effects are what they are. It's a Roger Corman movie, probably $150-$200 to make this movie, I would assume, minus the cost of film itself. So we meet Stella and Acton, and they are in their ship trying to evade the police. And there's like this weird interplay of, I guess there's a such thing as space cops, but we're behaving the way we would behave if real cops were chasing us.
And this was such a letdown. As soon as Acton said, "Aha, looks like the cops." And this is what a lot of this movie is. You are creating, or you have the ability to create a unique universe. A universe for your characters and your characters alone that you can identify by knowing things about the universe. So you can call these police anything that you want to make it unique to your movie.
Yeah, they can behave however you want them to behave. You're not beholden to anything because you're not on Earth in the year 1978 or whatever it is.
And they just go, it's the police.
You know how that is.
Yes, Star Wars doesn't have police. They have stormtroopers, snow troopers, sand troopers, whatever it is. Just make them from a certain army or area on a planet and identify them as that. And now we're learning a little bit about where all these people live. But no, we're just going to go with the police.
Yep, just the popo, just out there like they would be. I guess, since we're working in a Star Wars adjacent universe, these police are all from the very far away past. So police will continue to behave this way all the way up until the now. So maybe that does make sense in a certain way. Like this is the legacy of how police behaved 10,000 years ago. Yeah. So they still behave that way now.
And when we're on this ship, and I know this is something all sci-fi movies are guilty of, we like a lot of, like little noises,
vacuum tubes and pinging and stuff.
I understand it to an extent, but as a design feature for your ship, do you need to hear the repetitive whir, 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 so you know you're on a spaceship? Imagine every time you got in your car, if it just made like electronic noise over and over and over again and never stopped.
I was going to say that I've driven in a Tesla, which for this moment in time is probably the most futuristic car that I could get my hands on. And if I don't turn the radio on, there's no noise. There's zero noise.
Yeah.
They, in fact, have to fake noise outside of the car so that pedestrians are aware that the cars are approaching.
Yeah.
There's no sound. And it's not like we know we're on a spaceship from the way the set looks. It's not like you could be confused and go, oh, maybe they're in a car. No, these people are in a space. They're in some sort of space travel capsule. And no, we can have the flashing lights without the constant computers on the verge of breaking down sounds in the background the whole time.
Right. Unless you're like transmitting something or receiving something or something's happening, then yes, add the sound effect for, additional entertainment. But just as a constant background noise, it's insane to think that people would just accept that in their day-to-day life.
It would be better if they just had like the teletype in the background, like when you're listening to news radio and you just at least you would be like, okay, they're getting information as we go along. We don't know what's happening with these sounds.
No, we don't.
So while they're working on escaping, they get transmissions from the chief of the Imperial Police, Thor, and Police Robot. And we learn that this is where we find out that Stella and Acton are smugglers. And so they come up with the genius idea, as any other random space movie might have, is they're going to hit the hyperspace and lose the cops.
Makes sense.
Except they're right in front of the cops. So the cops can see them doing this. Like, it's one thing if like they had turned the corner and then the cops couldn't see them and then they hit the hyperspace and disappeared. The cops were right there.
Yeah.
They went into the worst version of hyperspace I've ever seen. It was like really bad video overlays that looked like we were about to start watching Doctor Who.
They might as well even like put their turn signal on.
Yeah, they should have. They should have radioed back to Thor. We're gonna hit the hyperdrive. Let's see what happens. And it would have been just as revealing.
Yeah, and meanwhile Stella's posting TikToks of her location afterwards. So just let them know where they're at. But
what's up, guys?
Just came out of hyperspace.
We're here in the nebula. We made it, yo. But don't tell anybody. This is for friends only. This isn't for general viewing.
Ah, shit. Thor reviewed my story.
He's got his daughter's login.
Now, there are two issues with the transmissions that they get from the police. One, Thor looks like a normal human. Like, his skin is flesh colored.
Right. Later,
his skin is green.
Yes.
So I don't know whether he ate an abundance of string beans or what happened here. But his skin color changed for the rest of the movie. And I am almost positive that the police robot said their name was M, even though it's L. So I don't know whether I just can't hear. There's two different robots, or they forgot what letter they used to identify their robot with.
They couldn't make up their minds alphabetically.
Yeah. And to add on to what I was saying about calling them the police, Stella says, let's hope this star buggy stays together. You could have named your ship anything, and you chose Star Buggy.
Did they name it Star Buggy, or
no,
was she just calling it that?
That's just what she called it.
Like, if we were in my car and I hit the gas, I might say something like, I hope this rust bucket can handle this. Like, that's not the name of my car. That's just a little name I'm giving it.
I would have accepted that, because then it's telling us that the ship might not be able to handle it.
Right.
But you could have named it anything, and it just made me think of like Billy and the Clonosaurus level awful for naming. You're ripping something off, and you give it the worst possible name.
Bodie McBoatface.
Yeah.
So they hit the hyperspace. They come out of the hyperspace. They think they've shook the cops. and they have not. But in the
No, they
meantime,
haven't.
they when they come out of hyperspace, they see some people, a survivor. Like there's been some sort of attack, and there's a survivor that is trying to kind of flag them down and get their help, and they see them.
Well, no, they don't know if they're survivors. It's one of the escape pods.
Right.
Yeah.
They see the pod, and they go and they find somebody, who they bring them onto the ship to help them out. And that person wants to contact the Emperor of the First Circle of the universe. Now, this is another thing. They have full control over this universe and everything about it, like you said. Why these complicated names?
Yeah.
Right? Like the Emperor of the universe would be enough. We don't need the Emperor of the First Circle of the universe. This is a lot. This is a lot of dialogue. It feels like they're just like they were given a writing assignment that had a word count quota to it, and they just had to find a way to we got to get this thing to 150, otherwise teacher's not going to accept it.
And especially because we don't hear of any other circles.
Right.
So to us, first or last, we only know of one.
It's the only circle we're aware of, and we don't know, is that the, is that the bottom circle or the top circle? Is this a DEF CON game where DEF CON 5 is safer than DEF CON 1, or what's happening here? We don't know. We just know that there's at least one circle in the universe that we're aware of, and this is the Emperor of said circle. And Acton notices that he's a chief officer in the Imperial Navy. Fantastic. Which is like, again, cool.
Could have called it anything, and you're calling it a Navy.
The Navy.
Even though there's no water.
Right.
It's just space. Air Force, at least. Imperial Air Force. I mean, I know there's no air in space, but
there's got to be some somewhere, because people are alive on these planets.
You can travel to more air with, at least, I guess.
Yeah. So the police catch up to them and arrest them. So movie over. Our smugglers didn't make it. What a shame. Thank you for joining us this week on the show.
Yeah. In staying consistent with the naming issues, we learn that the lava lamp spears are called red monsters.
Yes.
They don't look like monsters. They don't look like anything. It's almost like when a movie projector is playing a movie on a wall and people walk in front of it, and then the images are on them too.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what it felt like. And at no point in time, if you said, guess what these are, would I have ever said monsters.
And the fact that they called them monsters was the first and possibly the only reference to the fact that this is supposed to be a horror movie.
Yeah.
Up until that point, it was just the results of a weapon, as far as we knew, which wouldn't add to it being a horror movie. But they called them monsters, and now I say, oh, okay, you have to have monsters in a horror movie. That makes sense.
Makes sense to me. Watching this made me think of a lot of issues that sci-fi movies have. And I know, we have to suspend our disbelief a bit when we watch things like this.
Right.
But thinking of Newton's first law of motion, a body in motion will tend to stay, stays in motion at the same speed and direction unless it's acted upon by an external force.
Correct.
So if you are on a ship and you need to slow down, then you need gravity to help you slow. You need some sort of friction to help you slow down. In space, there is no friction.
No.
So once your rear thrusters come on, it's going to propel you forward. And technically, you should never stop going less than the speed that you were at. You don't have the ability to put a handbrake on and just brake in midair. The only way to technically brake would be Newton's second law of motion, where a body in motion will accelerate proportionally to the net external force applied to it, meaning front thrusters.
Right.
So if you want to stop your movement from a rear thruster, you need front thrusters to counterbalance. And it reminded me of being so upset playing Asteroids when you move and you didn't want to move, and then you're trying to get back to the middle and find that nice sweet spot of the appropriate amount of force to get to the center of the screen. So
It was my mission every time I played Asteroids to never leave the center of the screen. I didn't
yes,
want to deal with it. I just spun 360 and shot where I could shoot. And if you made me leave, I was walking away from the game. I can't
yeah,
deal with that. And there was a game, there was like a lunar lander game where you just had to lower your ship, and that involved using the up and down thrusters. And if you went down too fast, you crashed. And if you went down too slow, I have no time for this. Newton, you're fantastic, but leave me alone.
yeah. No, once I was out of the center of Asteroids, it was just close your eyes and press the fire button and accept when the game is over.
Just go ahead and crash into an asteroid and start over.
But like we see these ships, the police ships, just casually stroll up and stop when they get to the other ship.
Yep.
Like you can actually apply a brake. And so many movies are guilty of this. And I understand why. You needed to tell the story. But I never really thought about it until watching this, that it really makes no sense.
No, it takes a lot of effort and space to stop on a dime or to even just like cruise into your desired destination. So, getting away from the deep science lesson that we're taking away from this, we meet Count Zarth Arn. Why Arn? Why not just go Count Zarth? Why not just, be bold with it? Why Arn?
Maybe it's just different enough.
And we find out that the survivor that they saved was the only one that lived, but also his brain was damaged. So he's not going to be able to help, explain what happened and try to figure out what's going on. So I'm assuming the red monsters damaged him. So let's go ahead and go back and ask this question once again. How did they get to the escape pods?
Yep. What was the damage? So we know very little. And I love too, his lackey comes up and just goes, "They found one damn survivor."
Yeah.
If this was rated R, would he have been like, "They found one fucking survivor"?
His tone was weird to me because I couldn't tell if he was excited that there was a survivor, like, oh, well, at least we found one of the people that was supposed to be out there, or if he was pissed that they found someone who survived. Like, I didn't know what side he was on in the survivor count wars.
Yeah, no, it was confusing. And that man's name is Elric, the one that, was upset or happy they found a survivor.
One way or the other, yeah. So this is now where the Count is in charge, and he wants to give his robots a task that they must not fail. And we still don't know the reach of the Count, or who the Count is, or what he does, or why he's called Count, or why his name is Zarth Arn.
What his end game is.
Right.
We just know he has something to do with the red monsters.
Right. All we know is apparently, in your opinion, Elric is adjacent to the radar readers on Spaceballs with their big ping pong helmets, and I think
his eyes.
I think it's like a reverse situation. Like the Spaceballs guy has a giant ping pong helmet and then a small head inside of it, and Elric has a giant head with a small ping pong ball on top of it. Like they reverse the process.
Elric can't stare straight forward.
I'm assuming that based on the way this helmet looks and is situated, Elric is just constantly in pain.
Yes.
That thing is wedged on.
It does look like he needed a sledgehammer to put it on.
He looks like he's been trying to fast so that he can lose enough weight for it to slip off. Like a wedding ring stuck on his head.
And I can sympathize because only snapback hats fit my head.
Oh God.
Or like actually fitted hats.
Don't start me with snapback
any other
hats.
hat. There's what'd you say?
I said don't start with the snapback hats with me.
Oh, it's on the last notch every time.
That's why I hate it. My head is large enough that it's always the last notch, so it's always a V. Like it's never a straight line. It's a V, and I can't wear snapback hats because of that. I have to get fitted hats, and then when I go into a store, even if I'm wearing a fitted hat at that time, and I ask them for a size, no one believes me.
Yeah.
Are you sure that's right? I'm literally wearing a fitted hat right now. Trust me, I know the number. And can we check? I guess we don't carry that size. Oh my god. So the reason we're meeting the Count is because he's running the court. Basically, is what we're going to find out. And Stella and Acton are now get in front of the judge, and they receive a 220-year sentence of hard labor, and Stella gets life in prison. That's Acton gets the 220, and Stella gets the life. I don't know in this universe what the difference between 220 years and life would be, but I surmise that they are both life sentences.
And we know that Stella is human.
Yeah.
This is the first indication to me that Acton was not human.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yes.
This is why his sentence has a long but explained.
Yes.
That makes sense. Because there's something in the dialogue later on that really irked me, but also that makes sense too.
When the judge starts, he says the great machines of the central operating system of imperial justice.
Sure.
What great machines? What central operating system? Like, this is never even hinted at. I don't know of any great machines that exist at this point in the movie, but that's what we're told. We also see the same kind of blobs behind them outside, but like a different color when they're standing there getting their sentencing.
Yeah.
Which was very confusing.
Yes.
And the most confusing part about this is, how did this judge get his job? Did the other guy not show up?
When I watch a movie like this, and this goes across the board, this isn't just for this particular movie, on the bad guy side, the people who are in high level power, I just assume they've killed their way there. I assume on the good guy side, the guy who's like the president of the universe, he like ran for election and the people loved him and he for the platform. On the evil side, I just imagine like somebody came in and shivved somebody else in the back, and then now I'm the guy. Oh, I guess you're the guy now. Sure. And then that's just how it works on that side.
But I took the judge to be good because it was the police that brought them to him.
Yeah, but I think as we go on, I question whether the police were good or bad. Not that they were hard one way or the other, but I don't think that they were just neutral.
There is something that makes me believe that happens later. But this judge is looking down at his script. I'm assuming it's off camera. We can't see it, but his eyes are giving him away.
Right.
And he still can't get his lines right. Like he flubbed one and they just left it in. They were like, for 220 years. Like, he couldn't say 220 years, or it was something like that. There were two words together and it came out really weird and they just went with it.
Maybe he couldn't believe how long the sentence was. Maybe he didn't know that Acton wasn't human. 220 years. Who wrote this? No
You're
one.
A human.
So they get sentenced. So now we get to see them in the prison. And the first thing that I like is that everyone else is basically covered from neck to ankle. And Stella is wearing, I didn't know how to describe it, is a revealing outfit. And had a huge concern about the radiation on her skin. I suggest to you, Stella, that you could have worn one of the outfits the other people are wearing, and you might be a little less concerned.
Well, her legs were protected from the radiation.
Yeah, but not her hips or just below her breasts. They are obviously, Stella is working on planning her escape because she's a clever person. And we learn that the guards have they have the ability to whip you with energy whips and burn you. That's their disciplinary tactic. And Stella thinks if she can get her hand on a gun, she can probably get out, which I think in most prisons that would be your solid escape plan. If I can get my hands on a gun, I think I can shoot my way out of here. It's getting
But
the gun that's going to be the hang up here.
she also wants it to shoot the furnace, because if the furnace takes on too much energy, it can explode.
Right. Right. So she's risking blowing up the whole prison for her escape, I guess. I don't think Stella has thought this through for the catastrophe that she wants to cause and what ripple effect that could have.
Right. You would have to have everyone clear the building.
Yeah. So unfortunately, she was talking out loud, and that's actually going to be a theme throughout the show as well. As unfortunately, people were talking, and one of the guards overhears her and attacks her, but she wins the exchange, and one of the other prisoners steals the guard's gun and shoots him. So now we have a gun, and the other guards start to shoot at the prisoners, and one of them shoots the furnace, and it explodes. So at the very least, we know that Stella is aware of her surroundings, and Stella gets out.
Now, being consistent with this movie, not calling things exciting things or making me think, oh, what's coming next? When they were like, be careful or an energy whip will get you. I'm like, oh, cool, an energy whip. What's that going to look like? Just, nope, metal rod.
Yep.
Just the guard has a metal rod. No one used an energy whip.
No.
Throughout any of this. So why are we talking about energy whips and then not giving us energy whips? And if you pause this scene, before Stella gets attacked, she has a pretty red mark on her arm and side, suggesting they had to shoot this more than once. And that wasn't just rubber she was getting hit with.
Right.
So whatever she was getting hit with could hurt whip. Or leave a mark. Yeah. So it's transferring its energy. And I absolutely love, she's like, I've been here for 12 hours. You've been sentenced to life in prison to 12 hours.
She's maxed out at a half a day.
You're done. And you're telling other people that might have been there for 12 years that 12 hours is just too much for you to do.
And in that 12 hours time, you've already concocted your entire escape plan. And you're sharing it with people who you couldn't possibly have like befriended in 12 hours to know that you could trust them.
They're going to turn you in to get time off their sentence.
Exactly.
But this whole scene is preposterous to begin with, because we've devised this, unless it's just more work for the prisoners to make them go up the steps to put the radium into the furnace and then come down the steps. You could have just, the top of that furnace couldn't have been more than 15 feet tall based on a guard that was standing there. You don't need that. Just make the furnace opening on the ground so you don't have to have everyone carry this radium up the steps. And the radium is just giant bouncy balls for kids.
Yeah.
That's all that was. When what should be a rock hits the furnace, we hear a bouncy ball hit the furnace. And on top of it, if, again, getting on the scientific side, if you are going to burn radium, you are going to be releasing toxic gases and additional radiation. So,
correct.
Yes, they are right. They're complaining about the radiation, but these people are literally walking right through the gas and the smoke that's coming up out of the furnace with zero impact. So you don't have to make it radium. You can make it whatever you want. You can make this furnace or contraption be or do whatever it is that you want to do, and yet you come up with the most unplausible concept for what the prisoners have to go through each day.
Correct. All correct. I mean, this is how this movie is they could have made choices, but they did not make choices.
No. Yeah, they picked the worst choice almost every single time.
I feel like they didn't make a choice at all. They just went with what they were already aware of, and they were just like, we don't need creativity to make this work. We have, I don't know, we don't have anything, to be honest.
Yeah.
But so Stella is making her escape, and as she's making her escape, there's a ship that lands, and we see Chief Zurg and Elle. And Elle says,
it's Chief Thor.
Chief Thor, right. I'm reading your notes, and your notes are
That's
crap.
me. Yeah, that's me.
Chief Thor and Elle. And Elle tells her in his wonderfully Willie Nelson accent that they were sent to free her because, as it turns out, her sentence was canceled. So, again, with this 12-hour time frame, in a 12-hour window of time, she was judged, sentenced to life, and then that was canceled out a little bit later.
And acting someplace else.
Right.
He had to go to some like prison planet.
Yeah.
Yet he's able to get out of his sentence and there in that time.
Yes. As this is happening, we get the Imperial flagship. The Imperial flagship stops, and we see a holographic image of
the Emperor.
Of the Emperor, right?
Yeah.
And this is where he has turned colors, right?
No,
that's
the
where
Emperor,
Thor turned colors.
Thor is now green.
Right, Thor's now green.
Yeah, when we see him.
To further enforce the idea that they didn't know what they were doing when they made this movie.
They did not.
So the Emperor comes to them because El told them that he is the only one who can save us. So, unlike Star Wars, where they had to recruit one special person because they were the only one who could save them, what they do here is they recruit one person because that's the only person that can save them. So you can see the distinction.
Yes. But the difference is...
and it's a hologram that recruits them too.
Yes. Because El goes, he's here. There is the holographic image. Like, yes, we know that. Like, there's a lot of this explaining to the people around you what they're seeing, even though they all know what it is that they're seeing. Even as us in in the late 1970s, we understand what a holograph is. Like, it's not that difficult of a concept.
I think they were deeply concerned that their special effects department wouldn't pull it off, so they needed to explain it just in case it didn't look right at all.
That line.
Like, what is happening there? Oh, holograph. I thank God you said something. I thought it was just the guy standing next to them and talking.
With like Luke Skywalker, you clearly understand that he is on a journey.
Yeah.
From the time we see him, you can tell he's destined to do more than he has already accomplished.
Yeah.
These are two smugglers. We haven't seen them accomplish anything.
No.
Except get captured. That's it.
They kind of like melded them into being Leia and Han Solo, right? The smugglers, and then the smugglers get caught, and then she's wearing a bikini. And like, okay, so we've picked up right here in this movie.
But yeah, there's nothing about them that's telling me they are the only ones that can save the universe.
There's also nothing about them that tells me that they're capable of this task. The only thing we've seen them do so far is try to evade law enforcement and do a crap job of it. That's it. Like we didn't see them at the beginning of the movie win a fight or defeat Greedo or anything like that. Yeah. We just saw them like, oh, looks like they're going to get arrested, and then boom, they got arrested.
Yes.
and this is the saviors of the universe.
This isn't Suicide Squad. They're not getting. We don't know why they got released.
Right. We don't know why they.
I'm sure the Emperor pulled some strings, but why he pulled those strings, I don't know.
Right.
But it wasn't contingent upon them agreeing to do what he's going to ask of them. Their sentence were commuted, and then they're told they're going to save the universe. These are two outlaws. Why are they going to save the universe for free?
So you're already at the money part. I'm at all the other questions before that. How are they going to save the universe? They couldn't evade the basic chase, the pursuit police. How are they the ones that are going to save the universe? And what was it about them that made them the right choice? We have no idea.
Well, the Emperor says Stella is the best pilot and Acton is the best navigator. Although when watching, I thought Stella was the navigator and Acton was the pilot. I could be wrong.
And I feel like if we had the best of the best, again, they could evade the police.
Yes. they definitely could evade them. But they didn't.
The Duke brothers never got arrested.
Technically, Stella gets caught multiple times because she walks into a trap, not knowing it's not an actual trap. But if there was no deal in place, she would have been recaptured before she got 100 yards away from the facility.
Yep. So the Emperor's kind of explaining the deal. The universe, the galaxy is two warring factions. His faction and the League of the Dark World, and led by Count Zarth Arn. Weird that the evil side would be led by this Zarth guy.
I know.
But
I didn't see that coming.
I'm trying to figure out where the Arn fits into this, but I'm sure there's something somewhere. And then he explains that the Count has created a weapon, a limitless weapon, a weapon so vast and so huge that it would take a whole planet to conceal it. So, like, if you were to look up at it, you would see like a star, like any other planet. But this particular star would be the harbinger of death. So, like a star of death, or something more creative. I'm sure a filmmaker could come up with to describe that.
Yeah, just possibly. Maybe if you invert it like Yoda would, we might be able to figure it out.
Like Death
Star of Death.
Huh? That's
Yeah.
not bad.
Oh,
That's
there
not
you,
bad.
there you
That's
go.
not bad.
There you go.
Somebody get George Lucas on the phone. The ship gets attacked. The Emperor gives them the mission. They have to find the ship that was looking for the planet, find the Count's planet, and destroy it. And when the mission is complete, they have to search for the commander of the missing ship, as that is the Emperor's only son. Now, I understand the looking for his only son part. I do. I get that.
Yes.
Part. I get why you task them with that. And I respect.
And he puts that second.
Right. And I respect that he put that as the last bullet point on the mission.
Yep.
Saving the universe was more important. I appreciate all of that. Why did we need to find the ship? Why did that middle point need to happen? Why couldn't they just go off and look for this planet on their own, finish it off, and then go get his son?
Because that takes up a majority of the movie.
Whatever the opposite of time constraints is, this is
Yeah.
why.
No, and then later in my notes, I said basically like this movie is just wash, rinse, repeat.
Yeah.
They just keep doing the same thing.
Yeah. So, Acton, given these very few context clues, almost immediately in the entirety of the universe figures out which planet it absolutely has to be. And
Yes.
It's got to be the heart of the haunted stars, Uranus. Now, I want to give them credit for that, but also I've seen nothing else creative in this movie that would lead me to believe that they did that on purpose.
And like, okay, yes, Uranus is the most hilarious of all the planets.
But this planet, this is for everyone, so this is our anus.
Like, they can't even create the name of a planet without ripping off another planet.
The world. they ripped off the actual universe.
I mean, like, I am surprised we just didn't get Other Earth. Like, that's the same level of creativity. And what is the haunted stars? Don't you think that might be important? Like, if you say the haunted stars, you should know what you have to go through to get there.
Right.
Like, if I said, I'm going to be traveling on Endor, you might understand what types of creatures I'm going to see.
Right.
What the landscape is going to look like. You just throw out the words haunted stars and give us no explanation and no visuals. So again, like, it's just such a lost opportunity for them to develop a unique universe.
But at least they told you the hologram was a hologram when the hologram
Yes.
came up. So you got that straight.
We learned several times that a robot is nervous, but I know nothing about the haunted stars.
And more importantly, if at this point in the movie, you had learned the entire backstory of why it's called the Haunted Stars and why Uranus has made it to the center of these haunted stars, which where else would the anus be? But would that have any impact on the movie at all?
If it's consistent throughout the movie.
No, the movie that we watched, not like how you would play it out in your mind. The movie we watched.
No, because they do this so many other times. It would not have. It's just one of the same type of complaints that I have throughout the whole movie. They give us a tease of something that could be interesting and then don't tell us anything about it. But what we do learn is that they need to go into hyperspace.
Right.
And just in case you didn't know, hyperspace can get you somewhere in 2 hours that may otherwise take 2 months. That would be like if we were going somewhere and I said, we'll be there in an hour. I know this because I'm traveling 60 miles an hour and we are 60 miles away.
Correct.
Like you will understand what it means when I say how long it's going to take to get there. I don't have to tell you why it takes that long. And what I absolutely loved is after hyperspace, Stella goes, prepare for reentry to normal space. That's not how this fucking works. There is no normal space. You don't get in the Millennium Falcon and go, let's go at normal space speed. You just go.
Well, I think there's a couple things you can take from this, and I don't disagree with any of your points. But first of all, the entire chunk of dialogue doesn't matter, right? Like
No.
the fact that they're going to jump into hyperspace and this is how much is going to cut the time down. Who cares? Tell me you got in the ship. Tell me you hit the gas. Tell me you made it to your destination. And I really don't care unless you're going to tell me it took 7 years and that's why Acton now has a beard. I don't care how long it took to get there, as long as you don't make us wait the actual real time in the movie.
In fact, once you go into hyperspace the first time, you need to announce it. That's fine. But then if you do it again, you don't have to announce it. We can just see you pull the same lever, or we can see the same special effects outside the window. So we're smart enough to pick up that you're going into hyperspace again based on what you showed us hyperspace looks like the time prior.
Right. So they hit the gas. And then 2 days later, instead of 2 months, they are on this new planet, meeting new people. They've crashed into the sand, which I don't remember that in Star Wars, them landing on some sort of sand planet. And they get approached by Amazonian women, which I don't know how that works, on horseback. And there's a queen watching from a distance to try to see what's going on. So basically we have strangers landed on the planet and they sent out the patrol to sort of size up what's happening here. And we certainly know that the queen is not friendly because she wants her revenge and she's going to kill them. And I don't know who she's communicating with. I don't know why she wants revenge on these people. I just barely understand that she's the queen because everyone is kind of like looking up to her as if she's the queen.
And I don't know why after her dialogue, we stayed on her so she could do 2 different weird smiles.
Right.
There's a lot I don't know here.
Yeah.
I don't understand who was filming the scene standing behind Stella and Elle so the queen can watch from her throne room or wherever she's at and see what's happening on the beach. That happens a lot too. We just get these video transmissions of things where no cameras can be.
Yes.
But we get the shot. And I don't want to give the movie too much credit here.
You should.
But they Wizard of Oz this and changed the colors of the horses to red. We have red monsters. So was this done to let us know right away that they are not to be trusted? I would say a good script might have done that. I think they just woke up and spun a wheel and it landed on red, or that's the dye they had in front of them.
The horses came that way.
Yeah.
They're ginger horses. The Stella and Elle wind up back at the Amazon base, and one of the warriors comes through and shoots Elle. So we get a little fight. And Stella loses the fight and gets taken to the queen. And they drag her away, and Elle is still alive-ish at this point. And this is when Elle, this is now Stella's met Queen Cornelia. And she's explaining what's happening, and she's saying that, Stella's explaining their mission, and the Queen is explaining to them that this is never going to work for you. You're never going to be able to find the planet. And Elle comes in and grabs the Queen, and Stella joins him, and they make their getaway. And then the Queen watches a monitor with like a spy camera, and she tells the Guardian to kill them. So the Guardian goes after them, and then finally Acton comes back to the rescue, shoots him right there on the ship, and they fly away. The Amazon air fighters follow them, but they're no match for the best navigator and the best pilot in the universe.
Yeah.
No match. None of this makes sense. None of this scene matters. This, again, they're on this planet for no describable reason, and we come away from this planet, and if that 10 minutes of film didn't exist, we wouldn't feel any differently.
No.
Except for the part where the Queen says you'll never accomplish your mission. And even the weird, when she tells the Guardian, she beams like these lasers to the screen, and that somehow communicates to the Guardian. I didn't understand that. I will say though, the fight scene was kind of badass. You know, like I enjoy seeing that type of scene, and especially the actress did her own stunts, but some of it she was off balance. Some of it, the hits were weird, and I don't really blame her. I think that's more of an editing and blocking thing. So I blame the crew and the team afterwards for not framing these shots better. But to have that type of scene, and then when Elle comes in, he talks about he's going to have to, clean her sinuses out with the gun. I think you need something a little more badass there. Like it just sounds like he's like, oh, pardon me, ma'am. I apologize for the trouble. I'll be taking my friend here and we'll be on our way. I don't want to shoot you, but I will. And like, that's not the vibe I feel like you should get here, especially when he's accomplished what he has. Then when they leave, they shoot some of the air fighters, and the math is all over the place. We see them shoot 4 ships. Stella says we're down from 6 to 5, suggesting they've only shot 1. And then this nonsense continues. Oh, there's 3 more over there. And then I forget how many we see them shoot, but it's not 3. And then they're just like, oh, all done. So they had no idea how many ships they were shooting. And again, editing problem. If you're going to say we're down from 6 to 5, say that after the first ship has been shot. Then it makes sense. When we say there's 3 more, say it when there's really only 3 more, because there were only 6 ships. So they had it right. They just presented it to us all out of order. I am not relying on the science in this movie. I am not relying on the math in this movie. This movie, perhaps that's the point that we're missing, is that's how it works in this universe. Yeah. Like maybe we're being too strict based on the confines of our own universe instead of just applying the math to their universe, and then just going along with it. I think just going along with it is probably your best bet here.
No, because the first time I watched it, I just went along with everything, and I had a better time.
That's what I'm saying. Just go along with it. Just
go along with it. Yeah.
If the math doesn't make sense, if they just told you that they can cover 720 hours in 2 hours, just let them go. That's fine. That completely makes sense. No one would die from that. No one would be shredded into vapor.
No.
Finally, they find the planet that they're looking for. And there's also...
Or at least we think they have, yeah.
And we find that there's been like a bad crash on this planet, like as if someone else was, or some other group was trying to explore this planet, and it did not go well for them. They go out onto the planet to sort of, search around and see what they got, see what's going on. And the first thing they do is get rid of their power packs because they're running out of juice, and you know how power packs are disposable and whatnot.
Yeah, so what is a power pack reserve?
I don't know.
What does it do?
I don't know.
Why do you need it? And what happens when it runs out?
Also, I don't know. And
What are the environmental impacts of just throwing a power pack onto the ground and letting it stay there?
I don't think that's important right now. I think we're
Yeah.
thinking we're on a planet that's secretly a gun, so we're not really worried about like ecology.
Yeah. Again, just like there's no need to talk about the power packs.
Mm-mm.
Fill that time with actual interesting content, and our movie's better.
I find that would be impossible.
Yeah.
While so Stella and Elle are out exploring, Acton and Thor stay behind on the ship, which seems weird to begin with. Like, why wouldn't Acton go out and explore with them?
He always stays behind
Yeah,
for some reason.
Like,
but no, I agree with you. Like he's the most powerful one, and he's the one sitting back at home.
Right. He's just watching on a monitor.
Yeah.
And so he gets attacked by Thor, and Thor knocks him out cold. And what we find out is that Thor has been an inside spy for the Count the whole time. So Thor tries to take the ship and leave Stella and Elle behind, but there's a malfunction and he can't figure it out. So Stella and Elle get back to the ship. Thor won't let him in. The sun is setting and the drop in temperature will kill them. So Elle comes up with a plan for Stella. She'll lay down and hold his hand so he can monitor her temperature, and he will use his energy to keep her heart working while she's in a state of suspended animation. There were 800 million ways that you could have played this out, and they picked the worst possible one.
Yeah.
There are literally these things, right? And I might be shocking you with my knowledge here, but there's these things called igloos, which are basically snow structures that are built in such a way that you can survive a mean evening in the cold while being inside this igloo. They make them in such a way that they can actually have fire inside of them and not melt, right?
Yeah.
And I would think Elle, being the robot that he is, would have this sort of knowledge around. Instead, his basic plan more or less is to let her almost die and then defibrillate her every time that he sees her heart stop.
Yeah. And because we're not talking about like, it's negative 10 degrees out.
Right.
They said when the sun goes down, the temperature drops thousands of degrees. So even if he is able to keep her alive, her skin is done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The frostbite was immediate.
Yeah.
Stupid robot. That's why they gave him a southern accent, so they could let you know that he's not that smart.
And before Acton is taken out, he's fiddling with his hands, and all these lights are coming out of them. And the ship's kind of like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm refining my powers." And I'm like, "What powers? Like, if he has powers, just like Luke Skywalker, we don't know Luke had powers right from the start, but we slowly go on the journey with him, where he's slowly getting more and more powerful as he's learning about the powers that he has."
Right.
Acton just knows and hasn't told anyone.
Yeah.
Like, yet he's showing off what he can do with his hands.
Not only has he not told anyone, but he hasn't demonstrated these powers, like in any capacity. Would we have been aware until he said something? Oh, this guy's got powers. Cool.
Do you think he could have used the powers when getting arrested, maybe?
That would have been great. But what would have been even more greater is what's coming up next. It goes to night, and this is when we learn that Acton didn't get killed by Thor. He just got, quote unquote, knocked out. But it's important to note that didn't the Count shoot him to knock him out, or did he punch him? I thought he shot him.
No. Thor had some sort of metal bar.
Okay.
And he hits him in the back with it.
Okay.
And that's why this is a horror movie, I guess, because after you hit someone and you think they're dead, you just walk away.
Right. Well,
You don't finish the job.
That's true.
You just assume they're dead from one hit and walk away.
So Acton's alive, and Thor shoots him, and nothing happens. And then Thor keeps shooting him, and nothing happens. And then Acton puts up his hands, and reflects the rays back onto Thor and kills him. First of all, if I shot someone at pretty much point blank range and it had zero effect on them, I might try one more time. Don't get me wrong.
Make sure you saw it properly.
Yeah, make sure I saw it properly, or make sure I didn't miss or something. The second time I shoot them and nothing happens, I'm pretty much done with the shooting part, and I'm like trying to get away now. Now I'm the prey now when I was the attacker before. He just sits there shooting the gun, and then even after Acton is reflecting the lasers back to him, he continues to shoot at his hands. This is what I'm saying. Thor was an idiot. Thor killed his way into his position and then got killed his way out of his position. So Thor's dead. Acton apparently has had the power to reflect laser the whole time and just never mentioned it.
Chose not to.
Never brought it up.
We also learned about another power that he has.
The power to make this movie boring?
Yeah. He does a good job with that. We learned that the ship malfunctions only because Acton said that he borrowed a reactor that caused the ship's malfunction. And he did this because he's able to see in the future.
Uh-huh.
Stella looked just as confused as all of us were. And she says what we're all thinking. Says, if you told me this sooner, we could have avoided so much trouble.
Well, listen, if he had kept it a secret the whole movie.
Yes.
This guy is telling you this moments after he survived getting conked in the head by a spy, by an inside spy.
Yeah.
If he could see the future, not only should he have known that that pipe was coming, he should have known that Thor was a spy.
Yes. Right. And that would have, because it was weird that the Queen knew what their mission was.
Right.
So somebody had to let him know.
Right.
Because, the Emperor does say secret mission. So, it's not like the people in the galaxy are going, our heroes are here, they're going to save us. Nobody but the Emperor and the people involved know what they're doing.
Yeah, it wasn't on the nightly news.
Yeah, it was shocking that the Queen did. Now, here's the other thing about him being able to see into the future. He said to Stella that he can't tell her because she would have tried to change the future, and that's against the law. Now, there's two problems with this statement. The first being, they're both criminals. They already break the law.
I mean,
they got arrested
for
breaking the law.
Yeah.
So if you're going to break the law, why not break another law that will help you get away with breaking those laws? Because if you can see into the future and it's a law to alter the future, you know what'll happen when you alter it, so you can make the proper alterations and never be caught.
And also know which planet you should be. Maybe that's how he knew what the planet was right away, was he could see into the future.
Yes. And then he made these people go to other planets
and
for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then, his action of borrowing the reactor is altering the future based upon what he saw.
Maybe he had to borrow the reactor in order to make the future happen the way he saw it.
Yes. But then he's, I guess he would have to see. But then you get into this
it's a terrible loop that you're stuck in.
That your actions are only happening because you change the future and you can't get out of it.
Right.
So, yeah. Just so the most disappointing part was he's concerned now about breaking the law. Like, he's already a criminal. Even though we don't know that, we're just told that.
We also don't,
we don't see
necessarily know why he was a criminal. We just see them get sentenced for it, and they don't even really say what they're getting sentenced for necessarily. So they could have been, they could have been noble in their crime. They could have been stealing bread from the bread store.
I don't think they hurt people unless those people were looking to get hurt.
Right. So we're gonna take off, and we're gonna get attacked because we have to get attacked. And the red monsters are back, and L is unable to handle the red monsters, and L is out of control, and Stella's
Comically unable to handle the monsters.
as comical as a robot can be. L
Yes.
lived up to it. Stella's in pain, but it's not bothering Acton.
Yeah.
Probably his mitochondria is stronger.
That would have to be it.
Then the red blobs go away, and everyone's just fine. And Acton says we survived an attack from the most powerful weapon in the galaxy. Now, the last time that we're aware of any humans getting attacked, most of them didn't survive, and the one that did had brain damage.
Yes.
But Acton, it has no effect on at all, which again, we're reinforcing that he's not quite human. L, it had no effect on. We know L's not human. So
no, L destroyed his circuits. Like
well,
he felt, yeah.
It destroyed his circuits, but nothing irreparable.
Correct.
And Stella is in great pain, but just kind of like snaps back up once the blobs are away.
Yeah. Fine moments later.
Yeah. This movie is exhausting to keep up with.
Yeah.
I really had to keep stopping and restarting it because I wasn't sure, especially when they got to the Amazon planet. I meant to mention that. I wasn't sure if a different movie had come on.
Well, it felt like Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, it was a little bit Planet of the Apes. It was a little bit, whatchamacallit, with the Jawas. Like, that's where I thought they were headed with that because it was the sand planet and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was completely like a whole different feel to the rest, like cinematically. And I hate to use that word in this movie, but cinematically, it was an entirely different feel when they were on that Amazon planet than it was anywhere else. Like someone else shot it and handed it into them.
Well, they used a lot of filming in front of another screen on that planet. And then with the stop motion, and then the stop motion with the filming in front of another screen, like there was different techniques used for the special effects that didn't look the same as the rest of the movie. So I understand what you're saying.
Right. So they finally find the third pod. And when they find it, they get attacked by cavemen. The cavemen destroy L and take Stella as a prisoner. So now Stella's a prisoner again. Every time in this movie, she winds up as a prisoner. And L apparently is in a weakened state, I would assume, from the red monsters, because they pretty much just beat him up with sticks.
Oh, tore him apart with sticks, like, and just crushed his skull with one blow.
Yeah.
One blow to the head, and he's done.
And now new mysterious people are showing up. There is a man with a mask, and the man with the mask goes to where Stella is and starts firing lasers from his mask in order to free Stella. So this guy is Simon, and he survived a wreck on an Imperial mission.
Yeah, he was the only survivor from the first ship.
Right. So, again, like, I don't know.
And I get that maybe they're looking at their budget and they go, what other creatures can we have here? What type of people can we have here? And they might have had a bunch of caveman stuff left over from another movie and went, let's go with some cavemen. And again, you can call them anything you want. Mm-hmm. And he's like, nah, cavemen are good. You know, it's like, think of something like Poochie, but more original. Except they said caveman and then walked out. And the writers just went, you good with cavemen? Yep. Like, so boring. And they could have
they saw a man, they put a name in. What's the problem? So now we're running with Simon because Simon survived the wreck on the Imperial mission. So in our eyes, right, you know right away that you're assuming right away now this Simon is the son, right? That's got to make sense.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
There's no subtlety to that at all. I would like for that to have been some sort of magical reveal at the end of the movie, but there's nothing magical about this movie.
Yeah, like he almost loses his memory and doesn't know who he is.
Yeah. Or
something like that.
So they're taking off. They're getting away. the other cavemen are attacking and winning, and then here comes Acton, and now Acton has, and I'm going to use this word very loosely, a lightsaber, which he is killing the cavemen with and scaring the crap out of them. I understand there's budgetary concerns. I understand it's probably in 1978 or whatever this is, it's probably extremely difficult to pull off what ILM is doing with a 90 times your budget. But also, maybe you look at the dailies and you go, maybe we need to go in a different direction with how we're handling these special effects in general, right? Like, okay, we want to do a lightsaber thing, and I get why, but we've looked at what it's going to look like. We'd rather not. We'd rather come up with a different idea here.
Yeah. And how do they not get sued here?
I believe parody is protected by the First Amendment.
Oh, so we're going with the movie is so bad that the only thing it can be is actually parody and not an attempt to steal what Star Wars did.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a strong argument.
Yeah.
Imagine having to go to court to argue that. No, Your Honor, our movie sucks so much ass that the only thing it could be is parody.
This is where you get the Fox News lawyers involved, and they go, no one in their right mind would watch this movie and think that we were really trying to make a movie. And the judge goes, I got it. I get it.
No one in their right mind is listening to anything anyone Fox News says anyway. So
right, but that was
we're stuck.
That was their what's his name? Who's the guy with the Tucker Carlson? That was the defense that they gave. No one in their right mind would watch this guy and think he's being serious.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
But fuck that stupid sexy green NMM. She's too much for us to handle.
That's right. We've crossed a lot of lines here. There's going to be children watching these M&Ms.
And putting her in their mouth.
That and the rap music. It's the end of the whole universe. So Acton figures out that they're on the planet they've been looking for. Now, I don't know why he has to figure that out. Like, why he has to come to that conclusion when he already knew where they were headed. You know what I mean? And like, he should have just been like, we're here. Instead, it was more like, I think we're here. Like, what do you mean you think we're here? You knew we were going to Uranus, and now we're on Uranus. Like, this shouldn't be complicated.
It becomes a completely different movie. But the problem, once you've established that Acton can see the future, any reveal or anything that he does just loses the power that it could have. Because at this point, you feel like he's just purposely withholding information from you, whether you're working alongside of him or whether you're the audience. So it becomes very, very annoying when he shows up to do something because he knows that's what he's going to show up to do.
Right. At the point at which he gives this reveal, the rest of the movie has to be him taking the lead a whole lot and just going, you got to trust me on this. Just trust me.
Yes.
Right. It can't just be sort of him coming to conclusions anymore.
Or we get snippets of his visions earlier in the movie.
That would be good.
And then that's fine because then the movie is guiding us and telling us what we can expect, but not what the actual outcome is going to be.
Right.
And I'll accept that.
Yeah, the seeing into the future always has moving parts to it because you never know, someone might act differently. You know, you have all these ripples, but he's going to have to be the alpha leader now because he knows he's pretty sure he knows what's happening next, and no one else does. So like I said, it's got to be a whole lot of, let's go this way. And everyone's like, I don't know. He's like, trust me on this one. I can see the future. Let's go this way. And that doesn't happen.
So often too, when they do close-ups on his face, I feel like he's the product of Big Bird fucking Larry Bird, and one of them gives birth to him.
I just to me, he was let's see what the best way I can describe this is. He was Patrick Swayze's brother, right? So to me, he was Patrick Swayze's brother in comparison to Patrick Swayze, and in this particular story, Patrick Swayze is being played by the guy who played The Greatest American Hero. He looked like the half a gene away from being The Greatest American Hero, but that half a gene was a really big qualifier.
He's Timu William Cobb.
Yeah.
William Katz. Yeah, which is that's it, right? William Cobb. Yeah,
Yeah, William Cat.
William Cat.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So he's Timu William Cat.
every time I saw that, it was just it was Greatest American Hero with an extra wrinkle on his forehead that made it a little taller than it should have been. So they know where they are because acting can see the future, but they know where they are because the Queen said they would find the evil defenders, the red monsters, and the cavemen. So,
right. She said that there'll be 2 evil defenders.
Right.
So he's like, well, we have the red monsters and we have the cavemen, which brings up a whole nother topic for me. All the other planets then have a strict enforceable 1 evil defender per? So what happens on our, I think they are on Uranus. What happens
sure are.
with one of the other unnamed planets if there's already 1 evil force, and another evil defender wants to come in? Who then reigns supreme without it getting confused as to be the planet Uranus?
So you actually have it backwards. The other planets have 3 defenders, but because this planet is just hiding the most powerful weapon in the world, they only needed 2 defenders to hold it down.
Gotcha. Okay. Now that makes more sense to me. That they went, there's enough here, we don't need any more.
Exactly, right. Like we our whole planet is a gun. We're just going to keep the 2 of you because the union rules dictate that we have to have at least 2 defenders on the planet for the contractors to work on stuff.
But we'll start outsourcing and then downsize your departments, saying it's repetitive, so we don't need the same evil defender doing the same job.
These two are the skeleton crew of defenders. So they're off to go destroy the machines, and Acton takes them to headquarters. We got the computers that are responsible for projecting the red monsters into space. And this is where we learn that the monsters were never real. And the machines were messing with your brain by projecting monsters into your brain.
Yeah. So one of the problems I had is Acton, I'm almost positive, says discharged metal projections. And I took it back multiple times, and there was no subtitles on this. I took it back multiple times to hear it, and I kept hearing metal. Now, the problem is metal projections in your brain make no sense. Mental projections does.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, this movie doesn't make sense. So maybe he was supposed to say metal. I don't know. The other issue is we know that he's not affected, and Elle's a robot, so it doesn't work the same way. But do you know who experienced the red blobs? Stella.
She did.
Stella should understand this already. Stella should go, wow, I saw the worst monsters in my head. I thought they were attacking me. No, she just gets up like nothing ever happened. So it makes no sense that this is what happens. And you know what would have been great? To see movie? The visions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. To see the visions the blobs were causing. Like, so we see the red blobs come in, the red monsters, even though they're not monsters, they're not real, they're just brain waves, or waves being sent to your brain to alter your reality. So it's just like they're giving them acid. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Anything I say is just not going to make it make sense. It's just extremely frustrating. This is where we've arrived.
I didn't think we were going anywhere else. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. At no point after about 4.5 to 5 minutes into this movie did I think there's a chance this thing's going to go really well. Like those thoughts were erased almost immediately.
I think watching it without critiquing it the first time helped, but I just wanted to like this movie. I wanted it to be good, and every chance it had to do something good other than visually. I think the sets were great. But anything beyond that, it was a constant letdown.
Yes. So they're going to destroy the machines, but the golems show up, and the Count and his guards enter the room, and Acton holds the gun behind his back as the Emperor's heading towards him. And the Count says in less than an hour, the planet is going to explode, and they will be on the planet that explodes. The Count also told the Emperor that he had them there and he's on his way now, so he will die too when he gets there. I can't think of a way to make this more anticlimactic. Do you go less anticlimactic or more anticlimactic? I don't know, but it just felt like at this point in the movie with that threat was just sort of like, okay.
Yes.
Acton already knew this was going to happen.
That was exactly the note I wrote here. There are no stakes. Because of Acton being able to see into the future, and we know he's acting upon it, there are no stakes. He doesn't seem concerned. So if he's not concerned, he knows he's getting out of this. And the other thing that was confusing is both Simon and Acton were like, let's destroy the computers. And Stella's like, no.
We can learn from this.
Yes, they're not a life form. It's not like, there's these living creatures inside these machines powering them, or their life force is being drained and sucked out and sent, so
right.
No one is going to die by destroying machinery unless she just feels bad. Like, would L have a problem? He's a computer, then they're like, but L's dead at this point.
But what about how hard the programmers worked on that? Like, you have to give them, give them their due.
And the other thing is, we are told this weapon is so massive, it needs an entire planet to conceal it.
Right.
And there's 25 computers in the room?
Tops.
Yeah.
And in 1978, I mean, thinking about it in that perspective, that's probably like 4 computers because of how large a computer had to be back then.
Yeah. It wouldn't even fill like a fifth of one of the many empty warehouses we have throughout this state. Yet a whole planet is needed to host some computers.
Right. So the Count takes off with his guards, leaves the golems to keep an eye on everybody, and tells the golems, kill them if you have to.
Again, this is why it's a horror movie.
So first,
just kill them.
First of all, you've left them on the planet to die in the first place, right? You left them there because the planet's going to explode and they're going to die on the planet while it explodes. You've left the golems, I assume, to make sure they stay there until the planet explodes. So just kill them. Just absolutely kill them. Like, what's the if you have? Where is the if you have to? Where does that come into play? Where does that if you have to codicil come into play when your job is to make sure they stay here until they die, and if you have to, kill them?
Because this is what's going to happen. If you are a member of Stella's party and you're told the planet is going to blow up in an hour, I think, or like 3 hours, I forget, but the planet will blow up later.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't do anything because there's 2 robots with swords in front of you. You're going to be like, well, we can't fight them because they'll kill us. Or if you don't fight them, you're going to die.
Right.
So what's the first thing you're going to do is you're going to fight the golems to try to get out and save your life. Even if they kill you, it doesn't matter because choice B is also dying.
That was also, right, that was the path you were headed down anyway. You might as well take a shot at it.
Yes. So if you're the Count, you 100% have to kill these people.
If you want them dead, you kill them before you leave.
Yes.
You can just tell the golem to do it then. Like, you don't have to do it yourself. Just tell the golem, all right, take these people out so that we can get out of here and go get some Cokes at the local soda jerk. But he doesn't do that. He does the classic James Bond villain. I'm going to leave and assume that everything will work out the way I expect it to. So luckily, Acton still has his lightsaber, and he fights the golems and beats one of them, but the other one hits him in the arm, and Simon gets the lightsaber that he dropped because he got hit in the arm, and fights off the other golem. And the golem is about to beat Simon because he's not very skilled with the lightsaber. Acton gets the other golem and it blows up, which, again, why are the golems capable of blowing up?
Yes. And why would simply it falling down cause it to blow up?
Right.
For the same reason Acton's lightsaber was green when he killed the cavemen and blue when he killed the golem.
Because he's becoming less good.
Yeah. And when he kills the cavemen don't disintegrate. When he killed the golem disintegrates. So the lightsaber is a different color and does different things, I guess.
He's got little switches in there. He can set it to stun, he can set it to evaporate.
And I wonder, like, when David Hasselhoff signed on for this movie, was he like, I'll do it, but you better give me a scene with the lightsaber? Because this came after Star Wars, so if you're going to do this movie, I think you'd want to be seen with the lightsaber.
Wait, you're kidding me? This was after Star Wars? I was to understand this was the precursor to Star Wars.
No, this was after Star Wars.
Huh. Now I see all those references, sure.
Yeah.
I think, is this the first thing Hasselhoff was ever in?
I don't know. I didn't look that up.
I'm flipping through his IMDb real quick. Well, no, he was in TV show, episode of Police Story, and he was in Revenge of the Cheerleaders. That was his first movie, which has a higher rating than StarCrash. I
would hope so. I keep looking at that as an option and then never get to it.
Is that a let's see. Aloha High cheerleaders who wield considerable power in their ineptly run school struggle against real estate developers aiming to merge their school with a rival one in order to turn the location into a shopping mall. I will find this movie and we will watch it in our spare time.
I'm getting confused with another one. No, there is like a horror movie that's sort of like Revenge of the Cheerleaders. Or maybe I just assumed it was a horror movie because of the name. But looking at this, it's a comedy and sport movie.
Classic comedy and sport movie.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to find it anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So,
hold on. Oh, I'm in the Revenge of the Cheerleaders IMDb page.
Right.
And the third person listed is an actress by the name of Helen Lang. And Helen has chosen her picture to be her eating a banana.
Helen needed potassium at this time. I don't know if you've heard about this or not, but there was potassium deficiencies during this period of time. Also, if you read her bio, Helen was a dancer and stripper who first gained public recognition for her steamy nude pictorial in the July 1976 issue of Penthouse magazine. So I think the banana scene, the banana picture there is tame for what she wanted to present.
That is absolutely
we need you to tone
hilarious.
it down. We need you to tone it down, Helen. All right, get me a banana. I'll show you tone down.
Yeah, it just stood out. Like, is that what I think it is?
It's not what I hoped it was, but it is what I thought it was. All right, so we're back here with Acton, and Acton is dying now. So we went from a guy who was pretty much invincible and could see the future into a guy who's now dying. And he tells Stella and Simon that they'll be fine and they should carry on. And then Acton turns into light.
Yeah,
disappears.
Perfectly outlined. He's perfectly outlined by the colors and then just disappears.
I was disappointed that after he disappeared, his cloak didn't just fall to the ground.
Yes, it should have. And I was just confused by this because he's obviously used his abilities to save his life before. So why wouldn't he use them now? But then he says, like, he's going to live forever. And I feel like they went, hey, you know that Ben Kenobi scene where he purposely sacrifices himself so the party can survive? Do that, but make sure it has zero meaning and do it the worst way possible.
Have it with no impact and have it with Acton absorbing no real stakes again, because Kenobi does it to fend off the attackers. He's keeping the attacker at bay for long enough for everybody else to make their maneuvers. Acton was just fighting Gollum, which they beat, and then that's it. Like that's
Yeah.
it. Every scene ends with, and then that's it.
Like he should have stepped in front of the Golem
That would have been
when
good.
the sword came down, and then his death has meaning. He sacrificed himself so the prince or Stella could live.
Right.
Doesn't do that.
Nope.
He just gets a slight cut on the arm and is near the robot when it explodes, yet there's no visible damage on him from the robot exploding. It's just like he can make himself die. And I think that's what he did. It's one of his powers.
This was the end of his contract.
Yeah.
I put in as many hours as I can. You guys are going to have to get rid of me now.
The only other thing that I could think of is that it wasn't they didn't define it or go into it, but it almost felt like Acton and Stella could have been a couple. Even though when Stella goes back to the ship after Thor kills Acton, and he's like, Acton's dead, she's just like, oh yeah, okay. Like she has no emotional response to his supposed death. So it's like they had to get rid of Acton so Stella and Simon could be a thing. But that's really not explored that much other than some awkward reactions by Elle later.
Right. And also, could they have, I guess we're out in space here, but could they have been a thing since he's not human as far as we know?
I don't know. I haven't taken his pants off, so I don't know how that works.
Loser.
And I don't plan on taking his pants off.
You're hoping, though.
I'm hoping and planning are two different things, Paul.
Fair enough. So after Acton's death, the Emperor comes back in, and Stella says they have 48 seconds to get out of there. How she had this specific clock locked into her head, I got no clue. No clue that she calculated out that they had X amount of time, and now there's only 48 seconds of that time left. During all the chaos that was happening, she was keeping an internal clock that managed to calculate that out like that.
This is done to enrage us.
This whole movie was done to enrage us.
Oh no! This is what's truly going to enrage you. Because after she says 48 seconds, they accomplish everything in just under 48 seconds. So the amount of detail and care they put into 48 seconds of this movie and left it out of the rest is perplexing to me. I expected, honestly, after she said we have 48 seconds to get out of here, I was expecting the timer to stop at 5 minutes. Because that would have been consistent with what we've been given story-wise. It was incredible that they got the editing right and the dialogue, and we got the scenes we needed to in less than 48 seconds. Like, great job. Finally, you did something right.
In one brief, less than a minute flash, they showed you that they might actually know how to make movies.
Yeah.
Now, here, just like when Acton revealed that he could see the future, we find out in the most amazing of ways that the Emperor can control the flow of time.
Yes.
For about 3 minutes, I think he said. I think he said for 3 minutes he can stop.
For 3 minutes. Yeah.
I don't know if he can only do this once in a lifetime. I don't know if it exhausts him to do this. I don't think he does it himself. Like, it's not his power, it's his command to do that. He tells the Imperial battleship,
technology.
Right.
Yeah.
Has he had this ability the whole movie?
Apparently, but it's never come up.
And if he had this ability, right? If he had this ability, why wouldn't he have equipped his search ships with it so that they could freeze a planet for 3 minutes and quickly look around to see if it's the right planet and then go away instead of risking death on every planet that they landed on? I got a lot of questions about him having the ability to stop the flow of time for a 3 minute period so they can take off.
Yeah. So we have two characters that can control or have knowledge about time that don't use it throughout the movie when they should.
If the Emperor and Acton teamed up between his ability to see the future and his ability to stop time, this movie should have been about 8 minutes long.
They could have been time bandits.
Would have been a better movie, I think.
Yeah.
So they escape. Huzzah. And now this is the time to get revenge on the Count. So we send out some ships, catch them by surprise, and the fight's almost over, and the Count seems to have won. And the Count wants to send the Doom Machine off to the Emperor's capital world. We were of the impression that the Doom Machine was gone, weren't we?
Yes. I thought that was the cause of all the problems for the computers. So unless he's building them on multiple planets, but there's been no sign or mention of that. And this is the first time we're using the words Doom Machine.
Yes.
I feel like, and again, you can call it anything you want, and that is the laziest name you could have given it. Use it from the start. From the very start, when we're talking about the weapon, the Emperor has built a Doom Machine, and we're trying to find it.
Well, that's the set. Well, right. I hear what you're saying. Name the machine. Don't just say we're looking for it.
Because the other thing that happens here is we get a pretty good battle scene. Mm-hmm. Some of when they're getting shot, there's some realistic scenes. It felt right for what you were watching.
Yeah.
There were a total of 11 ships destroyed and 29 people that I saw get shot. So we have at least 40, if we can assume there's only one person per ship. At least 40 people have died in this small time frame.
Right.
When it looks like the Count is getting the Count's army is kind of getting their asses handed to them, someone's like, the Death Squad, come on out. What is the Death Squad? We've never heard of the Death Squad. We haven't seen it. We haven't seen them. There's been no mention that they have any soldiers above the guys that can't fit into their helmets properly. But the Death Squad has the ability to get shot and not die. We see them all take a laser shot and just keep on going. Death Squad would have been cool to see. Death Squad might have been better than having cavemen attack. Maybe they ran into the Death Squad on that planet. Whatever it is, you have something named the Death Squad and you give it to us for about 10 seconds and take it away with no explanation. Again, a failure on the movie.
Yeah, but there have been so few failures that, I mean...
Yeah, you can write it off. The first of only.
Which then, of course, leads us to the StarCrash. The Emperor thinks that there's a way, and he's afraid that they'll still have to use their powers to take care of this. Stella wants to know what it is, and Simon explains it's a fourth dimensional attack. I don't think Simon knows what that means. I don't think Simon knows how that gets implemented. I don't think Simon understands any of this.
So, if we pretend that Simon does know what that means, what do you think is going to happen?
In my mind, not based specifically on this movie, in my mind, a fourth dimensional attack would look something along the lines of what was the movie that we watched where they were between two dimensions and the fish kept coming out of the dimension?
From Beyond?
Yeah. It would look like the beginning of From Beyond, where things start appearing out of nowhere and attack you and then disappear and then, something like that.
Yes. Yeah. That's pretty much it. Yeah. And if you hear the word StarCrash, I would think that they're going to somehow use a star that they can control and pull it into something, or somehow use the power of the star as a weapon.
Yeah, like the fourth dimension can send the star somewhere right before it explodes, and then it appears and blows something up, and that's the StarCrash. Yeah,
I'm in. I'm very interested in seeing this.
Yeah. So tell me, did they pull it off to your liking?
No, what they did had nothing to do with it. Nothing at all. There was no fourth dimension. There was no star. We do get Stella saying that they need to build up maximum energy
Maximum.
so they can leap through the very heart of the stars.
Uranus. Or Uranus.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to be greedy.
So I don't know what that means, but when I hear that, I'm expecting the ship to go beyond hyperspace or, and burst through the stars now, maybe capturing the energy of those stars. Like the ship they're in can somehow take all the power of the star that they go through and destroy, and then unleash that power onto a object in front of them. I'll accept that.
Okay.
Do you remember that happening?
I not directly, no.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's a shame.
So the problem apparently is that they don't have anything powerful enough to pull off this star crash. But the Emperor explains, of course, that the floating city can help with this.
Oh, the floating city. What do clouds do?
They tend to float.
Yeah, they hover, float, but they're above the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cloud city, floating city. Okay,
Also, a lot of this movie does feel like they had like a punch list of Star Wars stuff, and they were just like, okay, got that in there. Crap, we never got to Cloud City.
Yeah.
Let's do this then. Let's make Cloud City part of the end of the movie.
And here comes Clando Mauritian.
Right. Willie D. Billiams. So now we're flying a city. We're piloting a city towards its imminent death, and we're cool with it, right? Like she's gonna fly this city and then jump out just at the last second.
Yes, and they do evacuate the city.
Yeah.
They just tell us, we don't see it.
But it's a giant city that's just being destroyed.
Yeah. And this reminded me like Doctor Who. I think there was like a whale that carried a city on its back that flew through space. Yeah. I mean, this obviously that came out after this movie, and I'm not even going to suggest they ripped this movie off.
They probably did. I see a lot of influence in a lot of other movies from this movie. But obviously, Simon, the new hero of our movie, can't let her go by herself.
Yes.
But he does also advise her that the scientists have reconstructed L. How did he know that?
Yeah, I guess maybe he can see into the immediate future and knows that L's going to come through the door. So maybe it's not like Simon where he can see all the way. Maybe not Simon. Maybe where Angton can see all the way into the future. Maybe Simon can just see 10 seconds into the future.
So they do their mission. They crash the floating city into the Emperor's ship, and he stays behind while everybody else abandons ship, and he gets killed during the collision. So the Emperor's dead. Stella and Elle jump out of the window and float through space until Simon swings around and picks them up from the mall because they're done shopping for the day.
All the times in space movies where they're just like, well, the ship's no longer good. I'm just going to hop out and wait for my ride. My space Uber will be here any moment.
We just got to be out front of the food court like we promised at 5 p.m. and then they'll come and get us. It'll be fine.
The problem here with the way they've executed this plan is that the Emperor goes on to say, like, this is going, because the Count thinks they're dead. So the Emperor's like, we've got the element of surprise earlier, and then that didn't work. So now he's like, but what if we can re-enter space at exactly the precise moment? The impact will be so overwhelming on the Count. He'll be so surprised that he cannot hold us. Don't know what any of that means, but that is not what we got.
No.
The floating city didn't go through any stars.
No.
didn't build up any maximum energy.
No.
It just casually strolled up to the Emperor's ship. They saw it coming,
Mhm.
but said it was like too close to do anything and had to send the fighters out.
Right.
And then, basically kamikaze themselves into it.
Mhm.
That had nothing to do with a star crash.
Yep, you summarized that nicely.
Yeah. Like, at least tether a star to the floating city. Going, the floating city is the only thing strong enough to pull a star with it, or the technology that it has can do this. And then you just kind of like, crash in and the star hits it as well and everything's done. No, nothing to do with what the movie is called.
Which I'm okay with. The law doesn't dictate that because you named your movie something, you have to have that in the movie or say those words in the movie. But this is
they do say it, yeah.
but this is the kind of movie I would expect that from.
Yeah.
So anyway, we get our happy ending in the most preposterous way that they could come up with. Lot of dead people in this movie, lot of scary moments in this movie, a lot of anticipation and suspense and such in this movie. I still am not sold on it being a horror movie. I don't care at this point what kind of movie it was. I'm sad that it was made. I don't know what else to say. I strongly feel as though Roger Corman at this point had enough money in the coffers and had enough respect from prior movies that if he wanted to do a Star Wars-ish parody, he could have done a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah, we get 85 total deaths at least, depending on how many people you want to count on the ships and everything like that. And it doesn't feel like we got 80. It doesn't even feel like we got 5 deaths, honestly.
No.
Yeah.
Well, so because of the way the movie is, there's really no point in playing the whole "how would you survive?"
No, it doesn't
sort of deal here, because this is, I think you're right in that. First and foremost, this is a war movie, so the "how do you survive" is don't have war, which is not a thing. So let's just jump ahead and ask the obvious questions. Did they make the movie that they set out to make? I guess so.
See, I don't think they did.
Okay.
I think they were setting out to make something that could do as well as Star Wars, hopefully. Because I did see something where the execs were concerned with the amount of clothes that Stella had on, saying it wasn't enough. And if she's not wearing enough clothes, they won't be able to show the movie on TV. So if they want to show the movie on TV, that's telling me they think this movie has a life after the box office. So if this movie has a life after the box office, it never happened. And I think the biggest problem as far as what they gave us is I don't think they made it when they made the movie they wanted to make. When we compare this to other sci-fi movies of the time, I think we get in this weird place between a movie like The Perils of Gwendolyn and a movie like Buck Rogers. Because, we get this scantily clad female warrior, but she only remains scantily clad. So they're sort of selling sex, but don't give you any. And then when we have our like sword and sorcery fantasy type of movies or sci-fi action adventure movies, we have to either lean heavily into the sleaze and campiness like Gwendolyn or maybe like Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity, or we have to go full sci-fi and create a unique universe that we can identify our characters by, that we know their backstories, we know about the planets where they came from, we know what they go up against, and we don't get that. So I think that's why this movie doesn't have a home, because it didn't know what it wanted to be. It doesn't know whether it wants to be Gwendolyn, as a smuggler in space, or Buck Rogers. And we're stuck in the middle, and without making it good.
I think somewhere in the back office, somebody knew what they wanted the movie to be. I just don't think that whomever that guy was, I don't think they came remotely close to his idea.
Right.
I don't think that this movie necessarily started out as a Star Wars parody, but that's how it landed. I get the feeling from this movie that like early on they wanted just their own space opera movie that was going to be similar to Star Wars but not just Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then they gave up. Then they just gave up and they were just like, look, we have to finish the movie, so let's just again make a punch list of everything that was cool about Star Wars and see how we can mash this into this thing. And I refuse on every level, I refuse to believe that Roger Corman Productions was sitting around going, we could probably make as much money as Star Wars if we do this right. There's no possible way anyone in that organization had that thought. I get, they wanted to try to make sure that you could put it on TV and things like that. I understand all that. But there's no way that they were considering like, we could be the next movie that has people lining up 2 days early to what? No, absolutely not.
And
absolutely not.
To your point, if they make it too well, maybe that's where the lawsuits start to come in too.
That's true. Like they have to go a little bit on the absurd side of things because then they can lean on that when LucasArts comes and sues them. You go, look, did you think anybody thought that we were doing Star Wars? And you go, no, this is terrible. Okay, good enough. Lawsuit over.
Star Wars is a good movie. We made a piece of shit.
Right. We had the word star in there, but that's about it. Would you recommend this movie to anyone else?
I think everybody should at least see it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
If somebody like when you were apologizing at the beginning, I wasn't mad at you for this. Like I said, like the sets are amazing, and I take a lot of enjoyment in seeing how people depicted things when we didn't have computer graphics to be able to do it. So the amount of artistry that goes into set design, I always find interesting. And there was a lot of visual things in this movie to enjoy. And for all the problems I have, it's mainly the script. So I would actually watch this movie again without being upset by it, because I think there was enough in it to at least have fun with.
I'm with you. I think the movie is camp. I think it's supposed to be camp. I think that as long as you go into it understanding that you're watching camp, I think you can have some fun with this movie. I think you can sit here and the ridiculousness of it is supposed to exist. And once you can be in that mindset, I think you can enjoy this movie a couple times. Like we're goofing on the science and the math and all that, but I think once you accept that it's camp, none of that math and science is supposed to work anyway. So the more absurd they make it seem, the better it is, because the more campy it is.
Yeah.
I would. I mean, I've watched it, I think 31 times so far this week just to try to get through it. I would probably watch it again. No problems. I don't even know how you do this, but because to me it's a parody. So the approach of the parody is just to mock the source material. So I don't know that I can make changes to this movie except perhaps clean up the flow of the plot a little bit. But other than that, I'm not going to tamper with this movie too much because it's supposed to be garbage. So if I fix it and make it a decent movie, I'm reducing the campiness, and that's the point of the movie.
I fully understand that, and after you said that, agree, and probably wouldn't want to make these changes.
Sorry.
Oh no, but what you're saying makes sense. So, like you said, there becomes the danger if you try to make a good movie, you're taking away the bad movie, and you might be taking away a fun movie.
Right.
But I do like the concept of like basically if you have Carolyn Monroe in your movie and you're making her a kick-ass lead, you can lean into that more. Um, and but we have to go full sci-fi route then. Get away from the Star Wars parts, or at least the so obvious ones that don't make sense why you made it so obvious type of things, and define things like they're smugglers. We have no idea what they're smuggling. So maybe when the cops catch them, it's on a smuggling mission that went bad.
Okay.
So we see them in action. Uh, Acton has the premonitions. Let us see some, you know, and just like the whole, if he's got these special powers, use them throughout the movie. If he's using them throughout the movie, it makes more sense than him showing us a new power that he has with absolutely no training to get that power. And if you're on the Cantina at Mos Eisley, you know exactly what type of planet that is.
Yeah.
You can make all these assumptions about what the daily life for the people on that planet is. We don't know anything about these planets or how they function or what goes on, except there's a bunch of wild cavemen in a small part of the planet. And there's just Amazonian women in a small part of the planet. So give the planets a little more character, and the people that live there, make them more of a variety of people so we understand what life is like there. And this can, we don't need these long explanations. Just a few shots here and there will accomplish this. And like the floating city, just another thing. Just don't mention it at the end. Have it come up earlier. Maybe that's where the emperor lives because he believes that's the future that's needed to save his people. And then he has to make that sacrifice to save his people. So there's meaning when they use the floating city. Just things like that when we are introduced to things earlier that come back later in the movie, instead of just giving us the thing that's happening at the time it's happening, never mention it before and never mention it again. That's what I would want to do.
Fair enough. That makes that. I mean,
Yeah.
that improves the movie enough to make it more watchable, but doesn't hurt their goal at the end of it, which is to be a little goofy.
Yes, no, it can be goofy, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
It's just like make it make sense at least a little bit to me.
A little bit.
Yeah.
There's a smidge of consistency for each character throughout the movie.
But like the same thing, like take Boba Fett, for example. Boba Fett just shows up in Empire. I mean, I know you can go back to New Hope and
right.
That doesn't count. But even though Boba Fett doesn't last long, he's easily killed. You still, when you see him, you just feel like you know what he's capable of. It's clearly defined. That guy could kick my ass. And there's nothing like that here. Right. I don't know what any of these people are capable of. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So that has been our somewhat bloody take on this movie. If you enjoyed this movie, then you have the same weird brain we do. So leave us a message. Talk about some other movies that you enjoy, whatever it is you want to do. You can find us at all the socials. We're at Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, Blue Sky, and Twitter. It's One Bloody Take. It's all one word. And if you want to find us on TikTok, it's _bloody_take. We can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Substack, anywhere that you can find your podcast. You can find our podcast just by searching out One Bloody Take. Put out a new episode every Wednesday. Join us next week as we discuss 1988's Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. I'm Paul.
And I'm Russ.
And thanks for listening to Our Bloody Take.